Hi, this is Bert Sheffield of Heart Horse Dressage, and this is my young horse Nardando. This is his third session working on going sideways. Now, we're just going to start by recapping what we did in the first two sessions, which was this sort of leg yield wobble sideways along the wall. I want him to move a little bit diagonally sideways away from my left leg, so he learns to accept that aid and that the leg can mean sideways as well as just forward. Now we're just going to change direction and see if we've got that together the other way. Now you always find with a young horse there's one way that seems to be natural and one way which seems to be very much not. So there's a little bit of confusion, but he's finding his way through. This way he would rather give me bend than moving on an angle to the wall, so it's just a case of trying to keep him a little bit straighter in his body and his neck. So he responds by stepping away from my left leg a little bit better. There you go. Everything is quite accepting. He shows some understanding of what we're asking him to do, and at this point that's all I'm asking for, is that he gives me a little bit of a try and he starts to get an idea of what we're doing. Now we're going to see this from behind, so you can see that he's going to be going sideways on sort of a 3-track, modest 4-track angle. He's getting his balance, he's finding some rhythm, and he's accepting my aids. That is a really good start. That's all you could ever ask for in a horse's third session. Now I'm going to do an exercise which he has done as in-hand work. We've done this on the ground, which is a turn on the forehand against the wall. I'm going to use my stick as a bridge between the in-hand work and the ridden work. So I'm using my hand and the stick to push him around with a little bit of leg so that he starts to understand that the leg can be the aid instead. He doesn't particularly like this. He finds this quite stressful. He feels a bit trapped against the wall. So this is something he needs to learn how to do, but not something that he's particularly okay with at the moment. I don't mind what he does with his head. I just need enough control that I can start to shape his body. And yeah, him being a little bit grumpy in the mouth, that's fine. I'm not going to try and pull him into an outline. I'm just asking him for some usable steps. It'll get better with time. This is only his third session doing the lateral work. Now I'm just giving him a little bit of a pat, a rub, cleaning some mud off the side of his face so he can relax a moment and understand that he's done good. Now I'm going to go and try a similar exercise, more of a walking turn on the forehand in the middle of the school, so we got it in space. There's no wall for him to feel trapped against. So I need his front legs to do a small steps on a small circle, and his back legs to do bigger steps on a big circle. That way he'll find himself going around in a kind of turn on the forehand. I need to control his left shoulder a little bit so that he stays small with the front legs. I want him to find a rhythm and his balance and not get too tense in front. So he starts to understand how the movement goes through his body. For this exercise, you want to flex the horse in the direction of the circle that you're turning. So we're now going to go to the left. So I'm going to ask him to flex a tiny bit at the pole to the left. And then I'm going to keep making little adjustments on the right rein to stop him just running through the right shoulder. My left leg is coming in and asking him to yield. I don't want it too far back. It can be ever so slightly further back than it would normally sit. But I'm just wanting to influence the hips. I want him to find some rhythm. My right leg is occasionally having to come in and just say, hey, come on, stay forward, stay to my hand. Now we're going to go off into trot. It's really important when you're doing all the lateral work that you stay thinking forward. The horse must still go forward off both legs. The horse must still understand that he needs to be in front of your leg. And now I'm going to see what happens when we ask for a little bit of lateral work in trot. Here I'm just asking him to step a little bit off my left leg, and he gave me a really nice leg yield. I like to do the leg yields from the track towards the centre line. Horses have a sort of magnetic attraction to the wall. So when you go from the quarter line out to the track, you will find that most horses will fall through the outside shoulder and you'll get a sort of flop rather than a true leg yield. Here I'm just letting him go into canter. He finds canter quite a reward. He really enjoys canter work. As you can see, he's pretty relaxed in it. Now I'm going to ask him to step off my right leg and see if we can do a couple of steps of trot, just coming off my right leg a little bit, just yielding a little bit to my right leg. This gives a kind of fake, if you like, counter shoulder in. It gives the first understanding of that. And now I'm going to just change it up slightly, but still coming off my right leg, and go into a nice little leg yield. For the third session doing lateral work, I think these leg yields are pretty good. He's keeping his balance really nicely. He's not getting too tense. He's showing some crossing. Now, if you're going to ride the trot leg yields in rising or posting trot, you'll want to be on the correct diagonal for the side that you're asking for flexion or yielding on. So I'm asking him to yield to my right leg, so I need to be on what will look like the wrong diagonal, because I'm essentially riding him as though he's going around on the right rein with right flexion, but asking him to go around in the left direction. Now I'm letting him have a little stretch. He loves stretching, so it's a really nice way of rewarding him in a forward going way. He's chewing the reins out of my hands. He's been using his back a lot in this work. Now we come around to my favourite exercise, which is trot walk transitions with some turn on the forehands mixed in. So we're going to do a walk transition, and now I'm going to ask him to step off my left leg in a bit of a turn on the forehand. Fluent, but there was a little bit of a loss of balance. He kind of threw himself around. And now I'm going to ask him to go back up into trot. You can see he's a little bit hesitant, a little bit questioning the leg. This is such a brilliant exercise because it gets the horses to understand the difference between a sideways aid and a forward aid from your leg, to understand how to keep their balance. It doesn't really matter particularly which way you choose to yield the horse after the downward transition, because I like to yield the horse from the side that the horse has tended to flop towards. He tends to flop through his left shoulder in the downward transition, so I'm going to yield him away from my left leg. This helps to teach him how to tone up that side of his body so he doesn't flop in that direction in his downward transitions. Now he's given me a better transition up into trot than the one before. He's staying up through his back, he's nicely swinging, he's kind of soft and rhythmical. This exercise is so good for the throughness. Now we're going to do another turn from my left leg. Little bit grumpy, but they are getting better. Lovely thing about this exercise is you can keep flowing with it. You don't have to get stopped by the wall. And then when he feels like he's got his balance and got the idea of what we want, we ask him back up into trot. And he kind of gets rewarded for doing the difficult thing by doing a forward thing. And that, I think, is really clever, because it gives the horses the feeling that going forward is a release and a reward rather than a punishment, especially if you've got a slightly lazy horse. Now, downward transition. Ask him to do the thing he's less familiar with. Yeah, a little bit grumpy. There we go, good boy. He's trying, he's trying. He's getting a little bit tired at this point. all I want is for him to try. I don't want perfect, I just want a little bit of progress. And that he stays with me. And then we go back up into trot. The transitions are improving. The fluency and the balance in the sideways is improving. He gets a little pat. Now we're just about to finish our work for the day, and we're just going to go out for a little walk after this, go up the road, have a nice little relax. He's been a good boy, so we're going to finish there.